Men of Reddit, what are some things a mom should know while raising a boy? If you tease him about personal relationships at a young age, he'll never trust you enough to talk about deep personal matters. Definitely agree with this. A few small remarks or comments. Whenever I was talking about female friends when I was younger, I'm a guy, makes me feel like I can't actually talk about that sort of thing. I'm sure I can, and it'd be fine, but it really seemed to push that I can't be friends with girls in general, or that I just shouldn't talk about my personal life. If you knock on his door and he says give me a minute, give him a minute. Don't just walk in. My dad always knocks and he immediately opens the door. If it's early in the morning, he'll just walk in assuming I'm still asleep. I told him it's his house and he can do what he wants, but one day he'll walk in on me dick in hand and that's his problem, not mine. Now that's a power move. I know this is a light-hearted subreddit, but I do hope this comment makes it through the masturbation jokes. I've sometimes thought about what would be the #1 most important lesson I would teach an hypothetical son, and this is that lesson. In many regions, cities, neighborhoods, and schools, there is pervasive pressure on boys to drink alcohol in order to prove their manliness. This can be more dangerous to boys than drug use, because alcohol is socially acceptable, readily available, and tied to masculinity in ways that substances like hard drugs are not. Talk to your son about drinking, because alcoholism can take a hold of a boy even in middle school, and once it has its hooks in them, they'll be fighting its grasp their whole life. Alcoholism will destroy relationships, it will end love, it will strangle employment, it will take a boy who is lost and looking for a path, then turn him into a boy that will never be found. It will be that devil on their shoulder beckoning them into an early grave. First you take a drink, then the drink takes a drink, then the drink takes you. It's good to be involved, but don't be overbearing. The most stressed out and repressed guys I knew growing up were always the ones whose mothers controlled every aspect of their lives. Also, have trust and tell him you love him. I've suffered from my mum being too interested in my life, asking a lot of questions I just couldn't care about the answer to. It's great showing an interest, but man, if I feel she's asking too many questions I just stay quiet and she gets she's being nosy. One time I didn't feel great, and while trying to go and lay down she mentioned I didn't look great. Yeah right, don't feel great, have you eaten? Yeah well what about? I'm trying to go and lay down. Online games cannot be paused. Yes, let them finish, then you will have their full undivided attention for 60 seconds, because the next round is about to start. I'll let my son finish his online game matches because it teaches him not to leave his squad/team hanging and not to abandon a group goal. When your teenage son suddenly wants to do his own laundry, let him. You do not need to be touching what he is trying to wash away. Also, you don't have to do his laundry. Win-win situation. Right, little dude has 2 dads. I'm used to washing sticky sheets. Don't judge his GF's looks. My mom automatically assumed all of my exes with big melons had STDs. My mom judged my ex BC she had depression and took pills to get through it. Guess who has depression now? My brother. Not judging him any. Do not take our blankets off in the morning when you try to get us to wake up. I tell my parents I sleep naked. Ever since I started, no one enters without knocking and having an answer. They all think I'm a naturist, but complete peace of mind just by being in my room is worth it. I'm a naturist, but my parents just find my behavior unacceptable. I just barricade my door. Don't use their room as a punishment. They should feel comfortable and safe there. It is okay to be sad and even cry. You just cannot use it as a weapon. Don't shame them for touching themselves. Just explain that it is something they should only do when they are alone. This is for all kids. Tell them that you love to pretend Santa is real. This allows them to engage in the spirit of the season, not spoil it for other kids, while not be lying to them. Apologize when you are wrong. When they fall and get hurt, your initial reaction should be like whatever they did was really exciting. When they start showing sadness, then be quick to comfort. I need to share something about number 5. I have 2 younger siblings. By younger I mean the age difference is 10 and 13. I grew up and I noticed that I really find it hard to apologize to anyone for anything, and it pissed me off about myself, and I tried my best to change. And thinking about it, I understood that no grown-up ever apologized to me as a kid when they did something wrong. So with my little brother and sister, I really tried to apologize from the heart if I ever felt I did something wrong. So now at the age of 10 and 7, I see that they actually apologize for their mistakes, and I feel so happy for them to not have that problem. Kids really do follow what you do, not what you say. So saying sorry to your kid when you need to say it is better than telling him to say sorry when he needs to. Trust is key. Let him know you're there to help him. Be strict enough that he turns out well, but not so harsh he resents you and/or rebels. Finding the right balance with all of the things you mentioned is exceeding difficult. I mean, I'm trying for sure, but it's not easy at all. The things worth doing in life are always hard. It won't hurt to talk with him about all of this though. Let him get dirty, let him fail, let him make mistakes. Know that he'll make mistakes, and make him embrace the consequences of those mistakes. You can either make sure your son is always safe, or make him strong. It is best for him to be strong. It is also important to note, would you rather your son be liked by you, or by other people? Sometimes, the two are not compatible. Knowing the difference is intellectually and emotionally hard, but important for you to do. This sounds like advice for parenting any gender kid, emo. Have a healthy relationship with your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever. Having a welcoming, stable, warm home is the very basis of being a positive influence on your children. Don't just focus on teaching him the good stuff. Focus as well on being a role model for him. This is the best piece of advice on here. Kids follow examples, not advice. Do as I say, not as I do, doesn't work on children. If you call for him in the other room, and he responds with yes, actually ask him to come, rather than not saying anything. I'm a girl, and this is the most annoying thing ever. I always have to quit my game, or they'll get mad too, and can even be for the smallest thing sometimes. Get him vaccinated, be out ITC and cause autism. I have evidence. I swear. Yeah, I researched it on Facebook. I've not seen this one. Probably because it's maybe a bit sketchy. But if the kid's got a foreskin, make sure you teach him young that he needs to clean underneath that ducking thing. Don't wait till he's 16 and getting his first BJ and suddenly his girlfriend is vomiting all over his crotch. This might have seemed obvious to some dudes when they were kids, but truthfully it took me too long to realize, and I've seen posts on Reddit of guys not realizing the importance of this until their freaking 30s. I'll admit, telling a 12 to 13 year old it could be a tricky thing to breach, but if he's younger make sure you get this through to him for God's sake. Edit. Lots of people pointing out that you shouldn't do this too early in life, or it could cause damage. Thought it'd be worth adding the edit in case people don't read the replies underneath. Yeah, but wait on this until it's naturally ready to start getting pulled back. Around 5 years old I think. Gonna check. Be right back. Doing it earlier can cause damage. Edit. Yes, it's around 5. Edit 2. It should retract easily, without having to force it or without pain. Might take longer than age 5. Respect his integrity. Don't deprive him of his dignity. Don't treat his sexuality as a problem. Do absolutely not repress him emotionally. Don't have the default angle of teaching/directing be that of someone that needs to be restrained. You shape the interaction and society will reap what you sow. These are things that are habitually done to males constantly. If you are arguing and he retreats to his own room or outside, don't follow along continuing the argument. Young people have a hard time expressing themselves and may need time to process their thoughts. Men are too often given the impression that they are only allowed specific responses, and unfortunately one of them is anger. As a teenager I couldn't get away from my parents when we argued, and I ended up feeling trapped. Don't cut his willy. I have a son and we chose not to circumcise him because we are strong believers in not mutilating his genitalia. The weird thing is all my friends who grew up in the middle class suburbs did it and thought it was disgusting. I didn't. I find it weird how people in this day and age still do it and think it's normal. I also think it's weird that it seems to be a suburban thing. No matter how broken his arms are, you shouldn't do that for him. You just had to bring it up, didn't you?